I think I'm getting the hang of English. It's so much about context. Depends on what words to use in English. For example, this one, soybean farmers urge Trump to cut a deal with China. We cannot survive a prolonged trade dispute. Trade dispute, that's the only time I saw it. Like always trade war. It's a trade war that United States started proudly. But here, if we still use trade war, it will sound very stupid. So depends on the context, a subtle change of wording. Am I right?
I'm glad that people have come with a proper name for this trade war. At least we can call it a dispute. It sounds mild, but let's see how it's going. Sometimes I was having problems with posting a video where I write trade war. I was like, I'm fear-mongering, But this is the proper term, according to me. So let's see how this is going. China, U.S. Is this a roller coaster? Like we are back at square one? And let's see how this goes. Because I'm looking at this as a circle.
You see, most people think the trade war is about U.S. and China, or countries to countries, but it's actually far from the truth.
The American farmers are urging Donald J. Trump to sign a trade deal with China because 70% of the soybeans goes to China. Now China is looking for Brazil for soybeans, which pissed them off, and they're freaking out. So that's why they're urging Donald Trump to sign a trade deal with China as soon as possible to save their soybeans industry. As you guys know, trade makes everybody better off. Donald Trump's tariff is hurting the American farmers. When China buys soybeans from the American farmers only thank Trump. They don't thank China. When China refused to buy the soybeans from the United States, the American farmers will only blame China, but not Donald J. Trump.
While America slaps tariffs, China's building the future. I'm Marina, and today we're talking tariffs, AirPods, and why the US might be fighting the wrong battle with China. Here's the truth. America is never going to beat China at making sneakers. China has over 100 million factory workers. The US, just 13 million. And why would you even want to? The real contest is in AI, robotics, biotech, green energy, where China has gone from the underdog to the favorite. Back in the 2000s, the US led in 60 of the world's 64 advanced technologies. Today, those numbers have been flipped, with the US holding the lead in only 7. So while the US tries to revive old industries, China's moved on and leads in those industries that matter most. And they're exporting their influence in areas across Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. This isn't about iPhones and sneakers. It's about who shapes the future of technology, and with it, the global balance of power.
So you think that I'm running propaganda because the United States can't win a trade war with China? I mean, the whole running the news cycle longer and forget the world keeps spinning. So let's talk about your rare earth deposits that were found in Wyoming. They're not the only ones, actually. The United States has one of the largest deposits of rare earths that rival someone like China who doesn't. But there are a few different problems with America. One being in that the robust legal system that America has and the so-called liberals that say that they care about the world while funding capitalism, those people do not allow the United States to mine domestically because there's so much regulation. 2, the United States would have to buy a lot of these properties, build infrastructure that the United States does not have the capacity to do. The refinement of rare earths is what makes them rare, not the resources themselves. Many countries across the planet have these so-called rare earths. But where the differentiator comes in is how do you extract these while getting the highest purity out of the ground, limiting as many contaminants, and then how do you refine it to where you can get the highest purity that America needs? And specifically, military grade purity is so much higher than what a consumer uses that it requires so much specialization that America just does not have. nor its allies. So this whole got you moment that you think you brought by trying to say that we have mineral deposits here in America, you're spinning the news cycle, is actually falling on its face because America doesn't have the capability to use them.
Do you know how much tariff you're paying? 50%. So for the folks who are still following or care about the trade war or whatnot, the tariff actually it's coming through. And the thing is, we don't really remember what we paid for last year or even like yesterday. But if you do track at it, especially if you own a small business, but even just the end consumer per se, everything you buy right now, like just go to Amazon, Walmart, whatever, it's 50% more. Used to be $10, it's 15 now. That's the standard. And it's weird because like some of them are not really affected by it, whatever 10, 30, 40% tariff. It's just 50%. So now you know.
The U.S. is being hypocritical once again. The free market is a complete joke and national security beats everything. So get this, the news is wording that the U.S. government is in talks to buy a massive 10% stake in the chipmaker Intel. If this actually happens, Uncle Sam is going to become the single largest shareholder of Intel. Intel stock jumped over 7% intraday on the news and continued to climb during pre-market trading. What a clever move of manipulating the market. But hold on, wait a second. Does that mean Intel is now a state-owned enterprise? You know, the exact same thing that the US and Western media has spent decades backlashing China for. But now the US is doing exactly the same. Duh! Now what they are telling you is that this is all for national security. To be fair, let me tell you, Intel is being crushed. Their stock plunged 60% and they're losing billions of dollars and getting absolutely smoked by competitors like AMD and Nvidia. I mean, they should have let Intel die if they are so bad at doing business. What they are saying now is that this is a lifeline to stop the last major US chipmaker from collapsing. But the reality is the US government is using taxpayers' money to ensure a private company won't lose the market competition. Do you even think this is fair to AMD or Nvidia? And this isn't a one-off. Trump played a pay-to-play strategy. They've already told companies like AMD or Nvidia that they will have to pay US government a 15% of their revenue on exports to China just to operate. Many people are calling that straight-up gangster robbery, and that will hurt Americans' own innovative companies and lose competitiveness. Furthermore, this creates legal gray areas. It leads to unpredictable rules, scares innovators, and threatens to kill the very innovations that make US a global tech leader. What we are seeing now is that the US government is politicalizing business and distorting the market. But the good news is we're already seeing some people profiting from this. So on 19th, SoftBank announced that they will inject $2 billion into Intel. And then on that same day, Intel's after-hours share price rose by more than 5% in response. So what are we really seeing here? Is the free market dead? Let me know what you think in the comments.
This comment here, it's very relatable because we get it, right? We go to the grocery store, we buy something, the store owner will never buy something from us, so like, what's the big deal? But have you ever thought about what do you do for a living? Are you an electrician? Are you a carpenter? Are you an accountant? Are you a teacher? Could you be possibly teaching that store owner's kids? Could you be building a home that maybe this store owner will be living in? You see, the world is connected. We are social creatures. In fact, one reason why human or Homo sapiens, we call ourselves now, are top of the food chain because we do something called trade. We exchange values amongst each other. Men and women exist in our society because that's always existed that way. Men go out to hunt to get some food because you might die doing so, and women farm and get food that we need, and we can survive on that in case we don't hunt or get anything back. This trade, it is the fundamental fabric of who we are as humans. No other species really do this, okay? Like, this is why humans are human. The thing is that most of us are like this. We just look what's ahead of us, and our eyes are only able to look in front of us. And it's only through education and understanding how the supply chain, how this world works, that we get to see the interconnection, the neural network, how the world is connected. Everything you do as a single person, even though we might think it does nothing except ourselves or nothing even to ourselves, it affects everybody. That's how the world works. That's how the entire society works. What we do makes a huge impact, a domino effect that we don't even know how this domino is set up. It's one of those like domino that spreads everywhere. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is a drop in a bucket is really not just a drop in a bucket. It's the entire ocean.